Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Just Seen podcast. And today, as you seen from the title, we're gonna be talking about racism. And from the subtitle, it's gonna be racism as a system of oppression. This episode is probably gonna be the realest shit I ever wrote. But I ain't write this shit. But it's probably be the realest shit I ever quoted, spoke, whatever. But this episode, it kind of segues off of a few of the previous episodes, but this one in particular, I want to address racism as a system, um, because what I realize is that we know it's systemic racism, right? But what is a system? Like, one thing I learned about dismantling shit is that in order to break something, you have to know how it works. And I've learned that that's one of the biggest hindrances of people. When you live in a society that we live in, you don't know the difference between destruction and deconstruction. So we seek to destroy shit rather than trying to deconstruct shit, right? And because of that, you can't destroy something you can't destroy something that's systemized, for one. You have to deconstruct it and then rewrite it. You feel what I'm saying? But when you're trying to destroy it, that's when it becomes futile. And that's what they have us doing. You feel me? Oh, you fight racism. You fight white supremacy. No, the fuck you don't. You understand the system. You understand the system. You understand how you play your part in the system, and you understand how the system works with you. Therefore, you know how the system works without you. Therefore, you know how to break it. But don't get me wrong. It's not as simple as, oh, we gonna break this bitch tonight. No, you're not breaking racism tonight, because racism is a system that runs more than a couple millennia now at this point. You feel me? Just as an advertiser, marketer, brander, and shit, like, most of my shit relies heavily on systems. You feel me? I have a first generational system with my branding and everything like that. These motherfuckers have a 2,000-3,000 year system that's been branding the shit that's making racism what it is. But I need you to understand, racism, hear me well, racism doesn't begin with the hatred of black people or darker skin. That's the final result of it. That's the final effect, right? Racism does not begin with that. It ends with that. They make us want to fight the end result. That's why we can't get nowhere. Oh, we think they just hate us. No, when you know why there is a system in place to stop you, then you focusing. You're looking at it the wrong way. We're looking at it from the perspective of these people hate us. No, these people have a system in place that is designed to go against us, right? And I get it. We hear all the time from Caucasian people. It's like, oh, that was so long ago. You can't fault all of our people for the things of us. It's like, I can and I will. So for my travelers that are here, that are listening, that are on the Caucasian side, I need you to understand that this is why I talk shit to y'all. I talk shit about y'all the way that I do. And I know y'all are still here. And, because, I still give y'all gems nonetheless, but y'all know where I stand. But this is going to explain why me personally, I could never invite you to a cookout, why I could never, have children, why I could never cross that line, and why we as black people are not supposed to. Love is not love when you're in a systemized form of oppression. You see what I'm saying? There's no way around that. And I know a lot of people, a lot of Caucasian people be like, well, you can't fall. I can, because you're a part of the system too. You're a part of the system's program to benefit, and I'm a part of the system's program to be of detriment. You feel what I'm saying? And in order to stop the system, you have to know how the system is layered, right? It's layered to work in your favor, whether or not you participate in racism or not. You see what I'm saying? So you can benefit off of something, whether you quote unquote participate in it, which is why you always hear me say all white people are racist. I don't give a fuck what you say. All white people are racist. You may not be practicing racism because you don't have the resources, but you are racist because you are a part of the system that is designed for you to do a certain thing, designed for me to do a certain thing, and everything else that falls in the middle. And again, the skin tone is just the byproduct of the final piece of the racism, right? But it comes back down. Racism starts with genetics and ends with the skin color. You feel what I'm saying? And we use the skin color as the final piece of the genetics because, like I said, I don't remember which podcast it was, but I was talking about how skin, the derm layers, your body is created out of 3 derm layers: the endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm, and that's all derm, which means it's all skin. So that means there's a bigger piece than it just being the color of our skin. It means why our skin turns that color, which is why racism is prevalent. But before we dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_sing_. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSing.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not this episode, but the podcast itself. And you know the vibes. Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And that's that for this, and that's this for that. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we come, my bad, I got a burp and I'm trying to suppress it without putting it on the mic. But without further ado, when we come back, we're going to dive with, I forgot what I was going to say. But anywho, when we come back, we're going to dive straight into racism, the system of oppression. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So For Real series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. Welcome back. And without further ado, we're gonna dive straight heavy into this motherfucker. So first off, let me break down where I'm going with this and why racism is even an episode right now. And it's like, yo, why'd you wait to season 10 to talk about racism like this? Because y'all wasn't gonna get it. This is spirit. Everybody talks about this is spiritual warfare, but nobody wants to tell you how to go and on. See, this is what pisses me off about this shit. Because I know the system of oppression and racism is spiritual, right? And everybody else knows it's spiritual, but nobody wants to tell you how to approach this spiritually. Religiously, yes, not spiritually. It's a spiritual war. They'll tell you all the time, oh, we're in a spiritual war, but you're trying to fight a spiritual war with religion, not spirit. How does that work? And it's like, well, saying, why are you going to start religion? Because religion ties to racism too, right? All of this stuff goes hand in hand, but it's layered into how it's positioned to make the system work a certain way. Okay, so when we start off with race, right, that's where we're going to begin, right? I always wondered why people can't collaborate. We're in a competitive world right now. Whether you want to call it patriarchy, whatever the case may be, the world is built off competition right now, not collaboration. Reason why that's important is because Black people don't function off competition. We function off collaboration. Ain't that a bitch? Naturally, on our solar essence, on our deeper essence, we don't compete with each other. We collaborate. We literally do shit for the love of it. You feel me? Now, if you happen to get somebody who loves it and competes, you get a champion. You feel what I'm saying? Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. You feel me? You get people like that. But we all respect the collaborative effort, right? By proxy, Caucasians don't respect collaboration. They only respect competition. And they're like that because of genetics. Now, again, for my Caucasian sisters and brothers. But for real though, they base their life off of competition because of genetics. And this is not me just pulling it out of my ass. This is according to Darwin, the same nigga that they quote about, survival of the fittest and everything. He speaks about genetics and the survival of the fittest and what it means to be fit. When you study genetics, you see what it really means to be fit, right? It's crazy. It's crazy because it's so subtle that we don't even realize it. When they're telling us get in shape and get fit, right? We think it's just going to the gym and physically working our physiques. No, to get fit means that you are aligned phenotypically and genotypically. So when you say survival of the fittest and you're telling somebody to go get fit, your physical prowess, it just isn't what's going to make you fit. It's your mental prowess and your spiritual prowess. Now, these things tie into racism because, like I said, going back, Caucasian people operate from a space of competitiveness. We don't have to because of the way our genetics are played out. So, first off, before I start talking about genetics, let me go back to race. Race originally began as the competition, right? Race, the original archaic definition and etymology of the word race was competition. So when we're calling genetics race right now, we have to accept that these people have told us, because this is their language. We can't argue with what they're saying with their language. They're telling us that genetics is a competition between humanity. Well, race is a competition between genetics. So, my bad. Race is a competition between genetics. Now, go into anthropology. You don't have to believe me. Just go look it up. If you go into anthropology, there's only 3 races of defined people. Fuck what all of these movements are talking about. Oh, what I feel on the inside. Fuck what you feel. This is what it is. Okay? There's only 3 races of people, which means there's only 3 beings in the competition: the Caucasoid, the Mongoloid, and the Africoid. Now, this is where one of the first layers starts to happen when it comes to the systematic racism. When you know that there's 3 races of people, now you try to codify these people by land masses, right? They've always called us the Africoid people. It's I haven't done the breakdown of that word all the way through Africa. I know it's like, well, Dad, that should have been one of the first words you broke down if you woke. But nah, I never broke that all the way down because there's a reason why um, Africa is so potent. Why because in its potency, they want us to believe that we are the continent and not the people. So this is why you have those in America. You're still trying to figure out who the fuck you are. You're Africoid too, but this is why they're telling you you're Africans. Mm-mm. You're Africoid. It's a whole different expression. And just like when they codify themselves, they're Caucasoid. Whether they're Irish, Scottish, whatever the case may be, they'll unify themselves as Caucasoid. Same with the Asians, the Philippines, the Filipinos, Japanese. They'll codify themselves as Mongoloids, right? Reason why this is important because anthropologically, there's only 3 races of people, which means there's only 3 motherfuckers in the competition. Now, this is why this is important. Because when they say we're all created equal, we're created equal as of 2023. The system is structured so potently now that all the races are equal. I'm going to show you why that's important. All the races are now equal. And it's like, well, damn. They literally had to do all of that to us to make the playing field equal? Yes. Yes. See, one thing about it, I'm a racist. I'm going to let y'all know right now. I'm not a prejudiced. I'm not hateful, but I am a racist. When you understand race, 1 being genetics, 2 being the competition of those genetics, and then you understand the etymology of the word. Any word that ends in ist means you are of the highest caliber and proficiency of that thing, right? So when you look at a violinist, they're the best at playing the violin. When you look at a pianist, they're the best at the piano. When you look at a saxophonist, they're the best at the saxophone. Or, not the best, they have full proficient mastery of the thing. Let me say that. So what do you think a racist is? I get what the illusion of a racist is. It's a person who hates black people. No, a racist is a person who has proficiently understood a race. They proficiently understand our race. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. They understand their race and they understand everybody else's race. And they codify the races into the competition. Again, this competition is between the Caucasoid, the Mongoloid, and the Africoid. Now, this ties into the genetics because genetically, black people or the Africoid is dominant genetics, right? The Mongoloid is heterozygous genetics. Okay, let me say it like this first. The dominant genetics is homozygous. Africoid stock is dominant and homozygous. The Mongoloid stock is heterozygous, which means that it carries both dominant and recessive traits together. The dominant only carries dominant traits. You feel me? And I know, well, black people, we do carry all the genes. Yes, we do carry all the genes, but your genetics and your phenotype and all that is what genes are expressed. We, as dominant genetics, only express the highest caliber of the genetics of our system. It's not like we try to, it's just how we're created, and everybody's created accordingly. When you look at Caucasoid people, they are the recessive genetics. Recessive genetics will never balance or even bounce against dominant genetics. It'll completely wipe itself out or create heterozygous genetics. And depending on which way you swing, is heterozygous dominant, heterozygous recessive, right? But the Mongoloid is the heterozygous, the Africoid is the homozygous dominant, and the Caucasoid is the homozygous recessive. This is where the competition starts. Genetically, they already lost. Genetically, they already lost. Both the Caucasoid and the Mongoloid, they already lost genetically. Because our genetics are dominant, their genetics are recessive in comparison to ours. You see what I'm saying? So genetically, when we, procreate, when we breed or whatever, we wipe it clean. Everything fades to black. So now, this is where the racism now comes into where it becomes color. Because if we didn't codify it under color, we wouldn't be able to create the delineations, right? So if you notice back to the homozygous dominant, heterozygous dominant, shit like that, right? If you look at it, you have black people, you have white people, and then you have everybody else. Everybody else in the middle is an ethnicity. If you notice that, they're either defined by their culture, their language, or their religion in some way, shape, or form, or their ethnicity, right? So it's like you have people from, Indian people. These people just like you're defined by that. Everybody's defined by landmass except black people and white people. The fractionalization they do, like I said, you have the Irish people, the Scottish people, the German people, shit like that, and then you have Nigerians, you have Jamaicans, you have Haitians, but at the core, we're all Africoid. So they give us this separation to not really understand the system that is being placed on us, right? So when you understand biologically, and this goes into what the ancestor Dr. Francis West Wilson was talking about, how they have an innate fear of genetic annihilation. And they do. This is one of the reasons why they have a huge, huge, huge obsession with genitals. Huge obsession with genitals. Even now. Like niggas is worried about other people. Like they have a huge obsession with genitals. And a lot of people don't understand that's why it's so physical. Because it's deeper than that. It goes into the essence of the core of knowing that my sexual capacity does not hold it. I have no potency against this being, right? Even to this day now, right? So when we start the systems off, we have to say the first thing that we have to do is say, how do we have to stop them genetically, right? Which means that we have to keep beings from procreating with them. And we wonder why, and we wonder why they treated us 3/5 of a human. It's like, how do you psychologically program yourself to know that you are the recessive genetic stock? You actively and adamantly know that they're the dominant genetic stock. And yet somehow you can create a mentality, create a whole systemized expression of yourself that you are superior to them. And this is not me, saying, oh, black people are superior. I don't have to. Nature did. And it's not nature. And I'm not saying in the sense of superior, as in we're better or anything like that, because they're like, well, why y'all can't get out of these situations? Because of the system of oppression. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to try to throw it in, oh, this is black supremacy. No, we are dominant genetics. You can't argue with that. You cannot argue with that. And that's where the biggest problem is, because racism begins to develop because it's things you can't argue with. It's not opinion. It's not opinion. These are all facts. Like to say, somebody is smarter by the marking or whatever the case might be, that's one thing. But to actually know, yeah, your genetics are more dominant, there's nothing I can do with you. There's nothing I can do with you. It's going to take generations to erase you. It takes one encounter to erase me. It's different. It's different. Right? And that is, like I said, the first layer. The race as we know it begins as the competition between genetics. When you can start there and there, you realize that it's not about hate. It's not about love or hate. That's why when you hear Common and niggas just talk about if we just extend the hand of love, it'll stop. No, you can't. No feeling is tied into this system because this is about survival, right? So they approach the understanding from the genetic standpoint first, right? So in approaching the genetic standpoint is how do we demonize this? Well, we make black bad, right? First, what we're gonna do is we're gonna tweak the history. First, destroy everything that they create, right? But not only that, give them a religion that is going to begin to break their spirit in regards to how they feel about their genetics. I know people ask me, yo, why are you so religion and racism? I mean, racism and religion go hand in hand. There's no separation between the two. When you hear people say, you feel me? It's weird. I was just on social media and shit, and somebody was saying, your ancestors, that's not your ancestors, that's demonic. Those are demons, those are spirits you calling on, or whatever the case may be. You're not acknowledging your ancestors. Those same people assume that their dead loved ones go to heaven and are watching down on them. Is that not the same shit? Is that not the same shit? But yet you could believe in a dead motherfucker that you never experienced, never seen before, but because a Caucasian person told you. Right. And I get it. A lot of people say, well, we wrote the religion, whatever. But as you know it today, you receive that religion from white people. Here's why that's important, because take the white people away and go back to using genetics. You got that from the Caucasoid stock, the recessive stock of genetics. Why would they give you the religion? The religion is the highest conceptualization of the mind. That means that when I give you this religion, you can not think any higher than the name of the God. So why would I, as a Caucasian, give you, as a black man, a religion that's derived of you being in the Middle East, and all of the names are European names, Caucasian names, names of Caucasoid origin, all of these names? There's a reason for that. Because when the religion is, you have to tap into the spirituality first. You feel me? I'm going to tell you that your spirituality is tied to religion, and it's not. And I'm going to tell you what this religion is. So religion is the first way they attempted to level the playing field. You feel me? And it's leveled, and leveling the playing field means that somebody's going to be taking the short end of the stick in order for somebody to get the long end. Who do you think gets the short end of the stick? So now when we look at black people and we like, why do we only practice 3 of the religions? Well, it's really 2 of the 3, but it's only 3 Abrahamic religions: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And as black people, we're only going to practice Islam or Christianity or Judaism, or we try to be Jew or whatever, but whatever. Those are the things that we're lost in, right? Now, how many black people can honor their own? So now, if deity is the highest conceptualization of the mind, and you can only follow the deities of those who's genetically recessive to you, what does that tell you about yourself? Because now we have to look at genetics. Genetics does not encompass the physical, because you have the phenotype and you have the genotype. The phenotype is what you can see. The genotype is the unseen. Yeah. So when you're phenotypically dominant, you're genotypically dominant too. And the unseen is tied to your mental and your spiritual. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. This is how, in one breath, we start off as black people, as black children, black babies. Oh, black babies hold their necks up first. They crawl first. They identify things and they associate faces. They do everything ahead of time. And somehow we all end up in kindergarten together. Because of racism, nigga. You're leveraging the dominance of the black genetics to improve the genetics of the Caucasian, you know what I'm saying? To balance out the Caucasian genetics and leverage the two. It's like, you ever been in school and you was an avid reader or a good reader, and they always paired you with a motherfucker who couldn't read so you can get them up to speed? Ain't no different. Ain't no different. They've been doing that shit for a long time, but they're doing it on a bigger scale now. And they're leveraging the dominance of Africoid genetics to balance and to propel the recessive genetics, the Caucasoid and the Mongoloid genetics. You feel what I'm saying? This is why, like, we can't own everything, but we're encouraged to be a part of everything. Like, you feel what I'm saying? They're gonna block you from owning shit, but they want you to be a part of everything. You feel what I'm saying? Because they need you. They need you because you have dominant genetics. The unseen we have a higher connection with. That means our minds work better. That means our spirits work better. How in the fuck did we get equally paired with these motherfuckers to where they become the standard of? Imagine your dominant genetics and the standard of beauty and the standard of power is recessive genetics. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Going back to even if you're looking at old Thank Heaven for 7-Eleven when the Moors taught them how to bathe, how does that make sense? I always ask this question, like we talk about how superior we taught them how to bathe. Well, how the fuck did we get beat by motherfuckers who didn't know how to wash their ass? Because cleanliness is next to godliness. And if these motherfuckers wasn't clean, that means they wasn't godly. So how in the fuck did the godly motherfuckers get overtaken by the devils? This is one of the reasons why, white people are the devil. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not in just a bigger ways. It's largely because of hygiene. Because cleanliness is next to godliness. Even today, there's white people right now that don't wash their legs. Like in 2023, there's white people that don't wash their legs. There's white people that don't wash every day. It's like you wash when you're dirty. It's like, wow. So when cleanliness is next to godliness and they're telling you, so why do you want to be closer to? It's different. It's different, but this is racism. And this is just the first piece of the racism. And this is the genetics. You feel what I'm saying? And the reason was, well, why you ain't talking about Asian people? Asian people, they get the smoke anyway because, you stuck in the middle. You have to pick a side. Like, and they've already picked their side. We see who they align with, but see, you fucked up and you picked the wrong side because you're in the middle. You feel me? You're a house divided. But you feel me? When we're looking at how it plays out on the bigger picture, this is where we start. The genetics. Racism begins with genetics. It doesn't begin with skin color. It begins with genetics. The reason why skin color is used as a distraction because every piece of the body is skin. You remember when COVID first came out and they were saying that they saying melanated skin is resistant to it? They ramped that motherfucker up. Let me tell you how much. Now, this is why it's important because when you look at the genetics or whatever it is, it's like they're going to test everything on our genetics first and see how we adapt to certain things in this, and then they create the medicines for themselves. When I went to med school, I wasn't bullshitting when I said there were no black bodies in the thing to do our autopsies, not our autopsies, our labs with, the cadavers. And mind you, I was in there for 2 semesters. There's 40 bodies. Wait, was it 40? I believe so. It was like 40 session. So 120 bodies. Oh, okay. So there was like in each semester, there was 3 classes that had to do the anatomy lab. So there was 3, so there's 40 bodies per what you call it. So we had to do, and I think it was like 3 of them. So somehow it totaled up to 120 for 2. So that's like 240 bodies between 2 semesters. And none of these were Caucasian. I mean, none of these were black bodies, Africoid bodies. We die. You feel me? We give our body is used for science. But you got to understand what science is being used for. When you're understanding anatomy and physiology, when they're breaking shit down, anatomy and physiology, they're only using the recessive genetics, the Caucasoid body. That is very, very important to understand that shit. Because anything that they tell you is universal, is supposed to be universally accepted, is only listed for the Caucasoid recessive genetics because that's the standard. Half the shit that they keep telling us is anytime they say something, oh, humanity or the human race, or when they try to say all humans, they're talking about Caucasian people. You feel me? Because they want to keep the system systemized. You see what I'm saying? So they're going to look at it from the perspective of, we're just all people. But no, look at the details of what it is. Like, for example, I was watching Good Morning America or some shit, and it was like, this is the most attractive face in the world. And it was a Caucasian person. In all the world, nigga? And she wasn't even cute. I was like, in all the world? Okay, whatever. But again, these are the subtle things that we got to deal with as genetically dominant people. And they'll do it right in your face. Our genetics are superior. They're not. But again, because you codified the standard and made this the standard, like, it's crazy. Like, how diluted the world is because the standard of beauty is Caucasian. The standard of power is Caucasian. And this is no shot towards the Caucasian people and say, y'all ain't shit, but science, nigga. For all of 2023, 21, 22, and COVID, all of that shit, like we've been being told to trust science, nigga. Now y'all don't want to trust science no more? Y'all don't want to listen to the science that y'all are putting out there? You feel what I'm saying? Because it starts with the genetics. You see what I'm saying? Then from the genetics, you got to rewrite the history. It starts with the genetics and the religion, but then after that, so let me go back before I get into this next part. So the first thing is, we understand the genetics. Now, when we get the genetics, it's like, where do we go from there? This is why the religion is the next piece. And like I said, we only study 3 religions, if that. Any religion that has black people tied to it, that's just demon. That's just evil. Vodou, niggas would tell you that's evil. White people, I know white people practicing Vodou. They becoming mambos and everything. I know black people are afraid of the shit. They're afraid of that. They're afraid of, they ain't afraid of Netaru and Kemet, but everything that is we don't want it. We don't want, that's demonic. Everything that we don't understand is demonic. Now, here's the capacity of that, because now they gave us the God. The God is the highest conceptualization of the mind. Genotypically, mentally, the highest place you can go is where you have codified what your God is. That's important because the highest conceptualization of your mind creates the lexicon of your world. You feel me? This is why they gave you the name God for God. God is general. Every other deity, if you study African spirituality, true African spirituality, deities have specific names. Even the supreme deity still has a name. You feel what I'm saying? But our deity is a general name, God. And they got, because we serve the real one, the only one. No, you don't. You were given something to corrupt your mentality, to level the playing field for racism to be a thing. You feel what I'm saying? Religious racism is crazy because religious racism, they're telling you, break down the barriers of color. We don't everybody love, but I cannot think according to how my natural essence wants to think. I cannot believe according to how my natural essence wants to believe. You feel what I'm saying? I was talking to a Christian or somebody about Ogun. No, that's how we started talking about Ogun. I got a jam session where I was saying I fucks with Ogun, born in a typhoon underwater, stirred up by Oshun, right? Now, on one side of that, I know what I said it for. It's a layer part. I'm not worshiping these deities. I'm honoring the deity. I'm honoring the essence that this deity represents as an extension of me. So when I say I fucks with Ogun, you feel what I'm saying? I fucks with the energy that Ogun represents. You feel what I'm saying? Look up Ogun. You feel me? When I say I was born under, I love this bar because I was born in the water stirred up by Oshun. I was born in a typhoon underwater stirred up by Oshun, right? The reason why I said that is because Oshun is, look up Oshun and you'll see what it was. So the person was saying, that's demonic. That's blasphemous. That's this, that, and the third, because Jesus ain't even that nigga name. So miss me with that bullshit. Fuck out my face. You don't even know the motherfucking name. Again, when the religion has to suppress and make everybody equal, right? Everybody is now codified. This is going to blow your fucking mind. Everybody is now stabilized under the standard of recessive genetics. It's like this is no disrespect to the little people, but it's like we found the tallest midget. We found the tallest midget and said that's what it is to be tall. Fuck anybody who's taller than that. We kill them. Anybody who's taller than that, it's a deformity. Something's wrong with you. You feel me? But we find the tallest midget and say this is height. That's what we're doing. That's what racism is. That's what the system of racism is. The tallest midget is the standard of height. It's crazy, right? Because now, in order to make the genetics stick, in order to make the religion stick, in order to make the genetics be a factor in the system, now you have to affect the history. First thing you do, destroy every motherfucking thing, but then you whitewash the rest. And you fanaticize the other. And here's what I mean by that. When we look at pyramids, they'll tell you, nigga, aliens built them shits. We let the recessive genetics tell us that outer space beings built this shit. But everywhere we went, we built the same shit. So you mean to tell me the aliens landed in Egypt? They landed in South America. They landed in Grand Canyon. Landed in Central America. They landed. Nigga, there's everywhere. Period. It's not only there. Like if you look at Noctopi, you look at Stonehenge, they formed monuments according to the concept. Our peoples was doing that. Everything our people, they call it the ninth wonders of the world. They call it the wonders of the world. Nigga, no, that's the shit black people built. And they're like, well, why can't black people do it today? Why? Because we don't have to build pyramids. We do other shit like build refrigerators, air conditioning units. You feel me? Stop lights. You feel me? Those are the things we do now. Still pyramids, but it's not about that. It's about creation. You see what I'm saying? There's levels to this shit. You feel me? Because now when you understand that the shit starts with them not having the right genetics, which creates them making, okay, we're going to create the religion because now the chosen people reality. Like the chosen people, that is a concept that that helps with the racism. Because they want to codify it. Oh, it's about the chosen people being based off of what you believe in the religion. No, who does the religion supposedly belong to? Caucasian people. People be looking at, well, our people wrote the shit. And as you know it today, it's been colonized by white people. That's why you have to understand the Council of Nicaea. When the Romans said, we're going to make the world believe in this shit. We know the Romans were Caucasian. So why was Christianity the thing that they needed? Because they knew that if we can get the world to agree to Christianity, now that's the next level of how we can, create this oppression, but we can start to demonize black people in order to be able to enslave them, to do whatever we want them to do, to actually start keeping them in a space where they can't keep the planet. It's deep. It's deep. These niggas plan heads long periods of times ago. You feel me? They've been planning this shit. So again, Council on Nicaea comes together, and then now you get the Shakespeare's and all of these motherfucking greatest poets of a time to come together and put the Bible together. That's why I tell you, when you look at the Bible, that's why they don't have the name of the Pharaoh in that bitch. Nobody knows the name of the Pharaoh that was supposed to be active when the Bible was happening. Like, imagine this the nigga God beefing with, and don't nobody know his name other than Pharaoh. Moses got a name. Motherfucking Aaron got a name. Miriam got a name. Motherfucking everybody got every piece of them, every main character in the story has a name except Pharaoh. Pharaoh just has Pharaoh. Like Pharaoh what? Because it changes. Like I say, it starts to change history, which is the point that I'm making right now. After they identified a religion, got the genetics, now it's the history. We got to change the history. So spiritually, we're going to make them, one way. But historically, we're going to say we got to erase everything and say they have no contributions to the world. They are savages. They are wrong. And we're going to now start this propaganda. We're in 2023. It literally took these niggas 2,000 years to get the world to hate us, to get the world to see us as a problem. This is racism. To where we own absolutely nothing, but we own nothing but fuel everything. Because they tapped into the respect of our nature being collaborative people. You don't have to compete when you're the dominant genetics. It's easy to collaborate. But again, you're fighting for survival when you're the recessive genetics because you're gone after that. They pride themselves on, legacy and shit like that. What greater legacy than knowing that your genetics goes nowhere? Fuck all of this material shit. You can go like the Rockefellers, for example. I'm sure they wouldn't do this because, they stick to a code. I can get it. But the Rockefellers can do all of this shit. One of their kids can marry somebody black and all of that shit's gone. That's what they don't want. I'm not saying the Rockefellers are in it, but they're kind of in it because it's a part of you feel me? They're funding this shit too because this shit keeps continuing. But what I'm saying is that they know this. And they're like, yo, in order for us to keep anything of semblance, we have to make sure nobody likes them. You ever wondered? Not even wondered because you don't have to. So for my Caucasian people listening here, I need you to understand there is literally a racial slur for black people in every language. Every language. Every racial slur for Caucasian people in every language gives them praise. Well, not every, some of them. You feel me? But as far as us, we call them crackers and colonizers. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I hated about the Black Panther movie. One of the things I hated about the Black Panther movie was when they kept calling him the colonizer. Don't call him a fucking colonizer. Like, two things that I don't like to do. I don't like, because I know the words. I don't like calling, and I know what they mean now. I don't like calling white people colonizers, and I don't like calling crackers. I used to think you call them crackers because they look like saltine crackers. They look like, they're the color of crackers. Then I found out the reason why they were called crackers because they were acknowledging the crack of the whip. I would never call a motherfucker a cracker no more because that's implying that, yo, if I call you a cracker, you're a crack ass cracker, I'm acknowledging that you were the one who used to beat my people, right? By uttering that word that feeds into the racism, the system of racism, that I'm beneath you when I call you cracker. You don't have to listen to what I'm telling you. I'm talking about my own understanding. I don't call white people crackers no more because I'm not giving them that power. I'm also not going to call them colonizers because when I call them colonizers, I have to constantly remind myself that they beat my people. So again, when I'm watching Black Panther and I hear it saying colonizer, 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 and you're working with the colonizer, you call him the colonizer. You feel me? Did he colonize you? No, he couldn't colonize Wakanda, but he colonized all of the other people that look like you. And you call him the colonizer. You're just saying, yo, I'm acknowledging that you beat my people. Right? But in every culture, there's a negative racial slur for black people that makes them feel like they're beneath the world. I said it in another jam session. I said, so no matter the religion, you either kafir or nigga. And off niggas, both religions got paid. And I was talking about Islam and Christianity, right? There's a racial slur in every culture for black people. How? And niggas be like, why do they hate us? What? It's racism, bro. Y'all think racism is just hatred of black people. It's not. That's the last part. The first part is the survival from black people. We don't look at that. Now, we're looking at it from a perspective of, well, we won't threaten to them. You can't tell a recessively genetic being who knows scientifically that their survival of the fittest, you can't tell them that, you know what I'm saying? It's all kumbaya. It ain't all kumbaya. They have to separate. This is why we can't extend hands of love. There is no hand of love because there's not going to be a hand of love received back. Because there is no substance in them. There is nothing in them that contributes to the world. There is nothing in them that gives back to the world the way it's supposed to, or the way that they see fit, because their contributions get lost because it's like, no, eventually we gonna disappear. You're right. So again, now, like I said, now you taint the history. Create the history of the propaganda. So we have the religion. All of this is racism. Religion is first, genetics. Then now we have history. All right. We're going to get to the medicine because we got to get, you know what I'm saying? But you feel what I'm saying? Now we have history. History is it's his story, bro. That's it. Bad guy, I said this in the song. I said, bad guys are good guys are villains. The monster is the one who's described by the children of the storyteller, which is prone to be biased. Who is in danger when man kills a lion? Who is the aggressor when lion kills man? The depictions by who wants no blood on their hands. We don't have the luxury of not having the blood on our hands because we're not telling the story. Right. So they're chronologizing everything. They're creating the history. They're destroying history, and they're making the necessary changes, painting shit, whitewashing shit. They in Egypt right now probably dying the fucking paint. Imagine this, though. They've been doing this for a long time, trying to make things lighter. And you can still tell it's black. How dark were those motherfucking hieroglyphics to where you've been bleaching them and trying to dye them for damn near 2,000 years and shit, and the shit's still black. You see what I'm saying? There's levels to that shit. But now when you erase the history, when you take away, pyramids were built by aliens. You block off the Grand Canyon and say, y'all can't go in the Grand Canyon to see the pyramids that are over there because it trumps the lie. It trumps the lie. And then now when you landed on the colonized people and you're telling them y'all came from Africa, we didn't come from Africa. We was already over here. It fucks with everything. The purpose of racism is to disorient the genetics in the competition so that they can't win. So now, mind you, these are just the first three impediments that we have on us when it comes to racism. These are the handicaps that we have: religion, Genetics, like they first they attacked the religion, then they got our genetics, and then the history. Right? These are important things. They destroyed all of our history to where we think we start with slavery, which makes the religion stand firm. If black people understood their history, there's no way in hell they could believe in a religion. Because all of our history is older than our religion. But every religion starts us off as, oh, y'all was enslaved. Oh, we started here. Okay. Okay. It makes the history work. You see what I'm saying? When you got the religion and you got the history and alignment, and now you can start to manipulate the expression of the genetics, you got them. You got them. You feel what I'm saying? So now with the history, right? When we look at the propaganda and all the shit that they had to do, like we've been led to believe that, when you see the caricatures on like TV and cartoons and shit of the black people, you feel me? It's like they're cannibals. You know what I'm saying? They're putting the people in pots and cooking them. They got bones running through their nose. You feel me? All of that shit was important to make it seem, to make the world believe that something was wrong with us. But again, before the cartoons and shit even came about, that energy was already there. The documentation was already there. When they found us in America, they called us savages. So this has been imprinted for a long time to make sure the history was what it was, to make the playing, but all of it was to make the playing field level. I know this seems so crazy. It's like, y'all, think about this. Over the last couple millennia, this is what they had to do to be equal to us. And we fought for equality with them. Ain't that a bitch? Ain't that a bitch? Imagine that shit. There's an entire world, a playing field that has handicapped you to make you equal with them, and you went to fight for equality. That's crazy as hell when you really think about it. But again, we don't think about it because of the way in which they portray it. They portray themselves as the morally righteous, the ones who have always been, they find all of this shit. Like Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas. Like, nigga, really? This ties into the history, but this is why Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas, because I can't tell you niggas that motherfuckers was already here. I would rather lie and tell you that we kidnapped 2 million, 3, 17, 20 million, however many people from Africa on wooden boats. Nigga, I'm going to tell you that we took 2 million, 20, I don't know how many million. I keep changing the number. We took about 12 million Africans on wooden boats. They didn't have motors, nigga. You just literally had to move by the winds to get there, to get to where you was going. And you sailed from West Africa to East America. 12 million motherfuckers. How many times would you have to do that? You feel me? It's easier to say that than it is, and to say we brought them over here, and to say, because it fits the lie, the history that Christopher Columbus founded the Americas. No, he didn't. He found niggas in America and thought they was Indians and called them Indians. All of this shit was designed to change the reality. You feel what I'm saying? And to completely erase everything. They were smart. They did it before technology came out. They were smart. You feel me? But when you look at it from a bigger picture and a grander perspective, imagine knowing that your entire genetic template is a target, right? And it's a target on a bigger scale, because you know that when you see me, physically you see me, you already know that I'm beyond. Like, there was a study that I seen, weird shit. White people do some crazy shit when it comes to us, that said that, I think it was like 9 out of 10 Caucasian people think black people are magical. 9 out of 10. And I don't mean magical, no, like no, nigga, they really think we do magic. Today, like in today's time. Which now makes more sense why they would give us a religion. Because now, what is the magic? Magi, imagination, imagine something within the mind. So now I had to give you the religion to say, your mind can go no higher than this. I know your magic kicks in outside of this thought process of the mind. So I'm not going to give you that. So again, I'm going to use the religion to cap you out. I'm going to make this shit equal because I can't do that shit with my mind. I can't do that shit with my mind. This is why Thomas Edison said, it don't matter who created the shit. You feel me? It's created because they couldn't. Thomas Edison ain't creating a motherfucking light bulb. He ain't creating none of the shit that he created. He just patented the shit. And he patented the shit off somebody else's creation. I think it's Lewis Latimer. I know his last name is Latimer. But they stole all his shit. They stole a lot of shit. Jack Daniels, like that was black people's shit. Now, here's where it becomes a little bit more for me. Because now it goes into tainting the history and saying, okay, y'all came from Africa. So everybody centered in Africa, there comes a moral compass. People from Africa think they're better than everybody else because it's the motherland, it's the home, it's this, that, and the third. And again, for my African people, I'm not saying y'all think like this. I'm speaking on how oppression and systemized racism has created this reality. Because when they constantly say they tied to the motherland, every other land of black people, that's like, no, y'all know we took y'all there, right? Y'all weren't already there. We brought y'all over there. Nigga, how? All you keep hearing is get into the markets. But do you trade or do you invest? Should you do stocks, Forex, crypto, or NFTs? My personal answer is not a single one if you don't know how to read a chart. Without knowing how to read a chart, you end up giving all your money to those who do. Do you know what a candle is? Do you know the pocket of activity? Do you know the difference between market direction and market control? If you answer no at least once, you might want to learn how to read a chart first. Learning how to read a chart will let you know if you should trade or invest and if you should do stocks, Forex, crypto, and or NFTs. It will also let you know if this is even for you or not. So visit IamJustSeen.com to learn how to read charts with my Mastering the Market course, ebooks, and webinars today. The world is changing. The question is, will you adapt with it? Because when you study the globe and you look at the tropics of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, and the equator runs through the middle of that. Those are the hottest places on the planet. Those are where all black people reside. You mean to tell me white people brought us everywhere? They put us on ships, took us from Africa, and took us everywhere. In a 400-year time pocket. Think about this, y'all. 1492 or whatever, when Christopher Columbus sailed the English Blue or some shit. 1492 was when this shit started. Or 1619, however you choose to look at it. But either way, 1492 was when he started doing his sailing and all of this other shit. You mean to tell me where did we come from? So these niggas came from Spain. Spain is significantly smaller than Africa. And they went to Africa and took niggas to everywhere else. That does not make sense, but it does fit history when you erase everything else. So when we look at history, what do black people fit in history historically? Only as religious people. Which makes sense now. Okay, you can give religion. To this day, black people are known for being the most spiritual beings on the face of this earth. But we're given a religion? Something's wrong. That means that however spiritual we were, it fucked with them. And they gave us something that made us not so spiritual, that made us not access the real levels that made us what we were. Because when you actually tap into spirituality, I can see how it can become demonic. Because imagine the god of your enemy is your devil. So if I'm performing alchemy that benefits me in front of a nigga who wants to oppress me, of course that's going to be some demonic shit. Who told the story of it being demonic? So now when we look at true African spiritual systems, when we look at these African spiritual systems, we're like, oh, they don't. But yet everything in the religious things that we practice is patterned off of them. It's stolen from it. But it's diluted in a way that you can only stand the first level. You can't get to the allegorical level that takes you to the magic. Willie Lynch may not have been a real person, but there was a principle that stood. You build the body, you break the mind, shatter the spirit. He didn't say shatter the spirit. I added that part. Because they say break the mind. People think breaking the mind is just depriving a person of education. They broke our mind differently. They broke our mind by giving us the religion to shatter our spirit and make us not think correctly. We don't think at all. We believe. The mind has 4 levels. I talk about this all the time: belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. They make us stay at the level of belief. If you read Soul World 3, or hell, even if you listen to the episodes on uh, belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, belief is the lowest level of the mind. If you understand the tree of life, the belief level of the mind is literally encompassed by the first 3 spheres of the tree of life: the fool's path, the magician's path, I want to say the empress path, with Kether, Chakma, and Binah. Those 3 spheres, those are the basis of who we are. That's how the playing field is level by keeping Black people on their root chakra. I need y'all to understand the power of this right now. This is why I'm getting low, because it has to be personal right now. By keeping Black people on the root chakra energy, they are equal. The system of racism is designed to keep Black people stuck in their root chakra energy. Now, everybody else may not be ascending to their Christ consciousness or whatever the case may be, but it's designed to keep Black people at their root chakra. Because of the competitive nature of who these people are, they will oppress their own people to ensure that Black people remain oppressed. But what they don't know is that although we can't rise above the systematic trap, humanity, the human race, quote unquote, what they want to call it, cannot extend any further than the dominant genetics of the civilization. It's what they won't tell you. When we look at artificial intelligence, when we look at all of these things, they're trying to replace dominant genetics with everything in them, and they can't figure out why the world keeps getting fucked up and more fucked up and more fucked up, because humanity, civilization, cannot function without the dominant genetics of that thing, of that species. That's why it's called survival of the fittest. But the fittest are not the ones surviving. They're multiplying, but they're not the ones surviving. And what I mean by it is like, yo, saying they're not killing us off like that. Yeah, true. But we're not developing in the way in which we're supposed to. You dig what I'm saying? They literally all have created a system that keeps us stuck to our root chakra. Root chakra is based off its foundation, and it's blocked by fear. Fear is the lack of understanding. And now we wonder why we get the religion that's what we're supposed to believe in, but they told us we couldn't read or write. This is another reason why I tell people you got to understand we didn't come from Africa. We was here already, and they came and colonized and did all of this makeshift shit to make it look like we came from over there. We didn't come from over there. This is a part of tainting the history. This is a part of the systematic oppression. Now I'm going to give you a book that told you came from a land you didn't come from, and tell you that what's happening to you now is supposed to be ordained to you because this is what it is. We've been looking to oppress you, bro. God sent us to find you so we can oppress you. Think about that shit. So white people pull up to you and say, God sent me to oppress you. Of course, they're not going to say oppress, but you're the chosen people. And I'm going to tell you some good shit about the chosen people. And I'm going to tell you, you got to go through this, right? You and your people are going to have to go through this for 400 years. Somebody told me that was like, yeah, Willie Lynch, he decided that he was going, the Willie Lynch letter. I looked up the Willie Lynch, but like the person ain't real. I get the theory behind it, but the person wasn't real. And it was like, yo, Willie Lynch thing was, I'm going to keep him enslaved for 400 years. This is how you keep him enslaved for at least 400 years. And it wasn't, the letter was the Bible. The letter was the Bible, and the perception was giving them the reality that they are the chosen people from Deuteronomy 28. You don't have to do shit else after that. They'll enslave themselves for 400 years. That's why in 2023, now niggas is talking about, yeah, the prophecy over. There was no prophecy, nigga. This was racism. That's why you're not getting out of it, because the 400 years starts. To this day, people still say we've been oppressed for 400 years. to this day, and it's been 500. Nobody's moving the goalpost anymore. Nigga just keep saying, yeah, we was impressed for 400 years. In the 1990s, I watched this movie called Higher Learning. Right, I'm sure y'all seen it. And as Ice Cube is talking to one of the people, he said, we behind enemy lines, dog. He said, no, he said one ass whooping would never equate to 400 years of captivity. That was like 95, 96 when that movie came out. I'm 33. It's still 400 years. Now I get it. We talking about centuries or whatever. So it could have been like, 420 something now. It changed. But at the end of the day, it's still 400 years. When Malcolm X was giving his speeches, he was talking about 400 years. Martin Luther King, 400 years. You see what I'm saying? It's been 400 years for longer than 400 years. That's racism. That's racism. Right? So black people are going to continue to operate in the space that I'm a slave. Oh, this is a part of the prophecy. We only got, like, I've heard people that was in the religion that I was in, saying, yo, it's, time's almost up. He coming. Because the 400 years is up. 400 years been up. Because if it's 1492, when all of this shit started with Columbus and shit, that means that 400-year time frame would have been, what, 1892. We're in 2023. Okay, cool. I'll give you that. Let's say 1600. Because, technically it started in 1600, whatever the case may be. Okay, cool. 1600s. 2000s. 400 years is still up. And it never stopped. Because that was one of the ways to keep the racism going. That's how they enslaved us for 400 years. It wasn't Willie Lynch's letter. It was the Bible. It's Christianity. It was religion as a whole. There's not a religious person alive, not a religious black person alive who does not equate the 400-year oppression to the religion being a prophecy in some way, shape, or form. Nigga, come on, bro. And we still fucking with it to this day. Makes no sense. At some point, you have to realize, oh, nigga, the system was designed to only work 400 years. We in the 500th year. 500th year. My bad. We in a 500 year already. But we even deeper than that. Because in order to morally tell yourself that you can go over and rape, pillage, and plunder people, there has to already be some kind of inferiority complex you have towards them, which now, like I said, goes into the Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea wasn't just a day. These niggas planned something for a good 1,500 years. You ever wondered why? I had an episode, I don't know if you heard all the way through and you caught it, but I was like, yo, 1550s was a powerful time. The 1500s was a powerful time because the next 100 years after that, that's when all of the shit was popping off. That's when the letters was coming out. The letter J significance was important. In 1550, the letter J came out, and that's when shit started changing. It's crazy how the letter J came out, and then the next 100 years after that, that's when slavery. No. The letter J came out in the 1550s, and then Christopher Columbus started sailing in 1492. And if now we're saying, well, 1600s is when the 400 years was supposed to start, nigga, do you see where I'm going with this? Racism is systemized, bro. Racism is systemized. And I know it's like, yo, why don't you I'm not giving Mongoloids a pass. They're just irrelevant right now because, I operate off of extremes. They doing this shit too. You see the shit to this day. They just bought the motherfucker. They just decided to work with South Africa or some shit for something. You know what I'm saying? South African man cheesing his ass off. The Asian man just looking like, yo, we just here for this corn or whatever the fuck we gonna do. And then we're gonna colonize, move in, and do what we do. Because y'all don't realize that this is a system that has been passed down and has been running for millennia now. So now when we fast forward to a little bit later today now, this is why. And I always wondered, something else that I found out too, we're not supposed to be eating, because I've been, holistically and shit, like, you feel me, from the holistic side, you understand, intermittent fasting, the actual rhythms of when you're supposed to be eating. We only supposed to be eating between 12 a.m., right, and 8 p.m. That's the time when we're supposed to be digesting food, because that is the cycle in which our body will digest. And then from, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. is like assimilation. That's when your body's actually using the nutrients and putting it somewhere. And then 4 a.m. to 12 p.m., that is when your body says, okay, I got to release everything. So first thing in the morning, we're supposed to be doing is shitting, pissing, and getting everything out of our body from the previous day. But we start the day off by adding more. Where did that come from? 3 square meals a day didn't come into reality until 1700s. During what? Colonialism. During the 1700s, they was probably like in a climactic state for us, the way that they was doing. But that's when the 3 square meals a day came. Why? Because of course I'm gonna be working slaves longer, so I'm making them eat 3 times a day or whatever. In addition to that, I'm going to take them off of the diet. I'm gonna take them off of the livid that they're on and give them a diet. We still eat these slaves' plates today. So now we got to add the next layer of racism, health. Black people, we don't eat the way we're supposed to eat. We don't eat the way we're genetically designed to eat. Recessive genetics can eat animals. Dominant genetics can't. You ever wonder why we season our food so well? The reason, 2 things that we do right now as Black people that don't realize that we do, that we got out of slavery. For one, we pray for our food. We call it blessing. It's saying our grace. It's weird. And we eat of a diet that is completely bad, right? No. And then we season our food. We season our food well, but we season it mainly with herbs and shit, but we season our food well. Why? Niggas never asked why. There's no Black people can cook their ass off. Because we knew we were eating dead, rotting flesh. And we knew that's all we had to eat. So we knew to eat it, we had to cook it a way to make it taste good. This ties back to the point that white people think we're magical. How do you guys can do that? But this is also ties into why racism is necessary, because I have to cap that shit. How does this motherfucker know how to randomly pull the ethers out? Because now, here's where it becomes different. Because now when we look at these slave meals and shit that we used to eat and shit, it's like, how did we know which herbs to use? How did we have such a working knowledge of the herbs? They told us some of everything. They was like, yeah, the women used to cornrow the seeds in the hair on the ships over from Africa over here and blah, blah, blah. Like, they were making it seem like it only took 3 days to get from Africa to America with 2 million motherfuckers shackled together. Like, no, nigga, they was here. Harriet Tubman was from here, nigga. They were like, well, how did Harriet Tubman know how to navigate the stars? She just hit her head. They want you to believe that she just hit her head and got some divine revelation. No, nigga, she was here. Her people already knew the land. They knew how to read the stars, and they kept passing that down on and on. We didn't forget that shit. We integrated, and we let that shit go. So like I was saying, they gave us religion and they gave us the food. Because I have to understand, I can't, my nigga, you cannot extend beyond what your natural greatness. I will not allow that shit. You got me fucked all the way up. So what I will do, because I know how you get down, I'm going to make you believe one thing that's not really real. So when we look at where we are right now, how do we season our food? It's mainly with herbs. And I never understood why until I understood herbalism. The herbs that we use, make a shit. Didn't even realize it. You feel me? The herbs that we use to season our food predominantly make us shit. Now we add the second part. When people eating, it's like, how you pray? We prayed over food because we prayed for the blessings of it, because we knew the power of words. We knew the power of words. We lost the power of words now, so we don't know the intention for why we were saying anything. And now it's just passed away. It lost its efficacy. Once it loses its efficacy, you can't put the intention to it to use it. You can utter the words all day long, but when you don't know the fuel behind the words, it doesn't have any power anymore. We used to utter the words of prayer for the nourishment of our body, because we knew psychologically, mentally, as we're looking now, we're eating shit that's not supposed to be in our bodies. So in some way, shape, or form, I'm telling my body, now this is where it gets powerful, because these are things that we know that they didn't know that we knew about ourselves. We understood how water works, the way of the water. They know how culturally we are connected to water. We know how culturally we are connected to water. But again, demonic shit, we think we're supposed to be living in the sky. Born in the water, stirred up by Born in a typhoon underwater, stirred up by Oshun. Again, look up Oshun, you see what I'm talking about, right? We patterned ourselves off of water, so we understood that when you spoke to water, you could infuse your energy with it. Do the experiment right now. Freeze some shit. You can say good words and put intentions and say positive words and some shit. You'll get snowflakes and crystals. If you motherfucking speak negatively into some water and freeze it, it'll show negative um expressions of how the crystals, the ice crystallizes because it's water. Just like when you talk to plants, plants grow a certain way because the water is active and that's what's flowing through them. When we pray, it's because our blood is active and it's flowing through us, and we're telling every cell in our body, this is no good for us. This is no good for us. Protect it the best way we can. So we season certain foods, we season it a certain way because the seasoning's made of shit. Fast forward to today, we don't use those same seasonings, and the seasonings now have GMOs. They have shit added to it to offset that. You ever wondered why one of the biggest staples of any black meal, no matter what they gave, we always gonna have some kind of fucking greens with them? Collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, some way, shape, or form. We gonna have a big ass pot of motherfucking greens with the shit. Why? Because it's roughage and it's fiber and it makes us shit. So sometimes we got to realize why they did what they did in the survival states and not realizing that this is the way that we live. Nigga, no. But in addition to that, praying over the food, like, because what logically, like, think about how insane this is. I'm praying for the nourishment of my mind, body, and soul. I'm praying for food that I know is killing me and saying and asking it to nourish me. It's 2023. I get why we did it when we were slaves. I get it. I get why we did it when we were enslaved, not slaves. I get why we did it when we were enslaved. Why the fuck are we still doing it now? Right now, it's out of stupidity. Well, I ain't gonna say stupidity. Right now, it's out of ignorance because we don't know and we never made these connections. We don't know that it's because it's systemized oppression. You see what I'm saying? It's systemized oppression for us to continue to do this. You feel me? So now we pray for the food that is killing us. You know, it was one thing when we was praying over the slave meals and shit like that, but we were still getting the collard greens or whatever the case may be. But niggas, y'all praying over McDonald's, Burger King, and and then you're gonna go to the doctor and say, hey, you need to cut back on eating this, and you can't. You know why? Because you're addicted now. You're addicted. Niggas be thinking motherfuckers be thinking they hungry when they're not. They relapsing. The addiction is being triggered. You don't believe me? Motherfuckers don't be hungry till they smell something. You don't even really be hungry. And this is why it's dope, because scent, smell is the greatest sense tied to memory. So when you smell something, you suddenly get hungry. No, nigga, you got triggered. It ain't no different than if I was smoking a blunt around a motherfucker who smoked weed and they smell the weed and I want some weed now. Same shit. We don't look at food addiction like that because somebody can always say, I was still hungry. Are you still hungry if you're gaining weight? As a motherfucker, this is a quick tangent, but I'm gonna as a motherfucker with a very high metabolism because I'm an ectomorph or whatever, largely, but I eat a lot. And everybody's like, yo, you never gain weight because I eat when I'm hungry, which means my body's gonna do something with it. When you're eating 3 squares of meals a day because your body's not hungry yet, what are you doing with that? Not only that, you have to do things like food combining and other shit to make the body. You're using 3 square meals a day and all the food is improperly combined. And it's not good for your body. You're feeding an addiction. That's what that is. But I'm going to stick back to the actual eating, the health side of it. So they gave us the food that we were supposed to eat because they know, okay, if they're in an alkaline state. Now, hold on, let me say this. We're not 100% alkaline beings. The pH of the human body is supposed to be between about 7.6. It's slightly alkaline, but it's supposed to be about 7.6, right? What that means is that the foods that we're eating is supposed to align. So we're supposed to have a balance. A lot of people be like, yo, Dr. Sebi said be alkaline. Dr. Sebi is speaking contextually in the context that y'all niggas is 100% acidic. So when you take that alkaline, it's to shift your body back into the right state. to start healing yourself. And then once you get there, now you can eat the fruits and vegetables and other things like that make sure your body remains at 7.6. But first thing you got to do is get it out of the 5.4 because it's acidic. You see what I'm saying? You got to start bringing it back to that 7.6. So that's what Dr. Sebi was saying. You feel what I'm saying? But a lot of people are, I'm going to go 100% alkaline. And your body doesn't shift the alkaline. So now when people say that without putting in the context, now you can have the Dr. Sebi talk about your body can't be 100% alkaline. You might as well drink ammonia. That's the most basic. No, nigga. He's telling you to use alkaline foods to shift your body back to 7.6 so you can start healing yourself in normalcy. But again, they gave us these food diets. Our people knew this shit. This shit wasn't good. Want to know another thing that you did that was here in America that we used to do, where our parents used to do? Line all the kids up and give them a tablespoon of fucking castor oil. Why? So you can shit. So you can shit. My mom tells me the story of my grandma giving that to her and her siblings. My mom didn't do that to me and my siblings. That literally stopped there. How many of us have lost cultural things that our ancestors did to help fight racism that we didn't know we was using to help fight the racism imposed upon us that we don't do no more? You feel me? Now the people were traumatized by castor oil. If you would explain to the children early why you have to take it. But then if you just follow in the system because you don't know, it's like, I know my grandma did this. Our ancestors started doing certain shit because it's like, yo, nigga, we can't, this ain't good. They fucking with this is not good for our body, right? Because now it's fucking with our mentalities. Now it's fucking with our essences as people. We can't use this, but this is how we have to fight this. So we've been knowing how to fight this for a long time, but it's a system, my nigga. So you have racism tied to religion. It's tied to history. It's tied to science. It's tied to everything. And it begins because it has to make a level playing field out of the genetics. Has to make a level playing field out of genetics. We've seen it play out in real time, but we can't see how distant this shit is. Think about it. Before the NBA, when we just had the ABA, when we was, playing or whatever the case may be, look at what they did to the game. When they was playing basketball, they didn't shoot right. They didn't the way people shoot now is because of how bad people shot. The way people, everything about the game is patterned off of black people, except the 3-point line. The 3-point line came into play because motherfuckers couldn't come into the paint. Let's keep it a bean. They couldn't come into the paint, so they had to stay from outside. This is why, even today, the greatest shooters are the white boys. It used to be. Y'all don't fuck. Well, we ain't got to come in the paint. We'll shoot too. Now you got the Ray Allens, the Reggie Millers, the Steph Currys and shit. Like, you feel me? They always knew, but we never knew. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all ever watched the movie Road to El Dorado. I think that's what it is. Or the Lost. I think it's Road to El Dorado because they were playing like a makeshift game of basketball in a sense. And it made me wonder, it's like, yo, basketball didn't come from Africa. Two things that didn't come from Africa: basketball and hip hop. As far as I know. In Africa, they play soccer, mainly. You feel me? Basketball is more of a Western thing. It's taking over the world. Hip hop, another thing, taking over the world. And I started to wonder, how do you take people from a place and their customs don't come? I get it. They told us, okay, yeah, you strip everything, make them not speak the language or whatever the case may be. They can't come out. I get that, but certain things stuck. Tying it back in, like I know I got over the place. Like Harriet Tubman, she had to be of the land because in order to chart the stars and things of that nature. But in order for us to be able to know the herbs, know how to season food with the right herbs, we had to be familiar with the land. My grandma used to tell me about when she was young, she used to eat red clay, right? We Indians, you feel me? I used to always grow up hearing like, oh, you got Indian in your family. No, I don't. I'm black, nigga. I ain't got no fucking Indian in my family because I only knew Indians one way. Then I met my family. Then I started, studying and learning. And I started looking at, Lumbees, the Lumbee Indians. And, you know what I'm saying? I started looking, I like, huh. Why the fuck do we look like? Then I started studying. Then I learned about $5 Indians. And I said, nigga, racism run this deep. Y'all don't even want us to know that we was here? Okay, because again, something that made me when I started looking at ancestral indigenous dances and shit. I promise you, I forgot. I forgot. I can't even find the video to this day, but I know I seen the video they had on the Native American garbs and whatever the case may be, lighter flesh people and shit. Well, these people were actually a little bit darker. They look like me. I was like, that's crazy, but they were crip walking, and I never put two. I was like, oh shit, these niggas got their elbows up and they crip walking and shit, and I was like, hold up, that's too close. That's too close. And then I started thinking about the crip walk. I started thinking about the blood walk. I started thinking about the heel toe. I started thinking about walking it out. I started thinking about all of the dances that we do that resemble the indigenous dancing. The New Orleans walk, carnival. Like, you have to experience these different cultures to see, nigga, the parallelisms is there. When I went to Dominica and I seen carnival for the first time, and I was like, oh, this shit is dope. But then, they doing it in Miami and shit, and I'm starting to look like, hold up. It's something with the walk. Like, it's something with the why we like to walk. Like, I can't explain it, but we do it. We bop like that. It's a little bit different. You feel me? In New York, they call it getting sturdy. You feel me? There's something that's here that was already here. So again, like I said, racism masks all of that. Racism is deeper than just hating the black people. It's making sure black people don't know where the fuck they come from. Making sure black people can't use their genetics all the way. You feel what I'm saying? It get deep as fuck, bro. So bringing it back in, this is why they like, yo, you're from Africa. Nah, nigga, we're Africoid people who are on the lands of the Americas. You feel me? There's Africoid people on the land of Africa. There's Africoid people in the on Melanesian islands or whatever. There's Africoid people. We got to stop looking at it the wrong way. We're looking at it from we're all African. No, we're Africoid. Fuck the landmass. If there was never, how would you identify yourself if we never named the lands? Because we didn't. We named the continent and that was it. They created countries. They created the borders. They created all of that shit. We didn't have that. We didn't have that because we were collaborative people. You feel what I'm saying? And they came before Columbus. You learn that they was already over here. But I've been reading on Ramesses, I want to say the second. He had an open portal back and forth between the Americas. Like he traveled here. And it started making me wonder, like, what was the hub? Did we come from here first? Did we go from over there first? Or we were just everywhere? Then I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna wrap it up because this is gonna segue for season 12 or 11. Then I started studying a little bit of our ancestry, spiritual systems and spiritual sides. And then I started to stumble across Jehuti, right? Which is an Egyptian god. So they tell us. Makes me wonder if Jehuti was really a human, because you got to realize God is the highest conceptualization of the mind. This is one of the reasons why I'm like, yo, this is why they tell us the shit that they tell us. So because I'm saying this like this because if we look at modern medicine, the father of modern medicine is Hippocrates. So you got to take the Hippocratic oath. But if you study Hippocrates, he called Imhotep the god of medicine. Not modern. He said Imhotep is the god of medicine. The father was calling somebody else the god. And then it's like, but Imhotep was a real human being. And they called him the god. That's when I started to learn that being a god is the highest conceptualization of the mind, right? So now, when I look at Imhotep and I'm like, all right, he did all of that. It's wow. It makes sense why they only want to give us one person at a time, because somebody had to teach Imhotep. He was a student to become a multi-genius. He was a student of somebody who mastered, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoever he learned from. Because we're collaborative people. We give that. But they're competitive people. So because they're competitive people, it can only be one. So you hear about Imhotep. You hear about individual people at one time. You don't hear about how the community or how the people work together. You always hear about one king at one time, because that's how they tell their stories. Because they're competitive. We're collaborative. Right? So as I'm looking at Imhotep, and I'm like, they call him the god of medicine. If he was the god of the medicine and they were simply mortal men with the shit, what was he able to do? Because he was a real being. So if they're calling our physical beings gods, then what does that mean? So then when I started studying Jehuti was a god, but Jehuti was the divine scribe. He's responsible for mathematics. He's part of like all this. He wrote these things called the Emerald Tablets 36,000 years ago. There's a cuneiform. There's a language that is written within the tablets that shows an origin that is very similar to Sumerian. Is the cuneiform of Sumerian is very similar to the Medu Neter. Is very similar to the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Incas languages. And as I'm studying these things, it flipped the whole world upside down for me, because as I'm studying Atlantis and I'm studying Jehuti and shit, he's in Atlantis and he's like, yo, the world as we know it are colonies of Atlantis. You don't say. This is why coming from Atlantis, this is why anything that is a real continent on this planet starts with the letter A. Anything that's not a real continent starts with the letter E. So there's only 6 instead of 7. So you ever notice you have 7 continents. It's Asia, Africa, Antarctica, North America, South America, and then the other something, and then Europe. Europe is out of place. It's the only one that doesn't start with it, because Europe is a satellite base. Europe isn't really, you know what I mean? So when you study Atlantis, you're like, yo, the Americas, Africa, Australia, like those places, and they start ending with A's, like those places were all colonies of Atlantis. Wow, you don't say so. Atlantis, the city didn't get flooded. The waters rose. And as the waters rose, the people traveled out. Oh, yes, nigga. No wonder there's pyramids in the Grand Canyon. There's no wonder there's pyramids in South America. No wonder there's pyramids in Egypt. No wonder there's pyramids in other parts of the world. Because we didn't start from Africa. We started from Atlantis. And then starting from Atlantis, all of these colonies are pieces of that. So now this is why you have the Africoid people coming from the Atlantean bloodline, right? The Caucasoidal people came from the European bloodline. Europe as a continent, Europa is the icy moon. I don't make this shit up. I just tell how this shit connects, right? With Europa being the icy moon, you look at Ice Age, 10,000 BC, they tell you when their origins and everything started and when we started connecting together. We just got to put the pieces together. It's right there. You feel me? So this is why, and it makes sense, like Bermuda Triangle, all of that other shit that happens around that Atlantis area. There's something with the Atlantean area that had to be covered up or whatever. I'm not saying they flooded the whole ocean. Who knows? We don't know. We don't know what they did. You feel me? If they can create Lake Lanier, if they can flood out and make lakes, they can make oceans, bro. Because you got to think about it. To flood a city, the shit that they was doing in Georgia, they had it down to an art by then. You feel me? To where it's like we blow the motherfucker up, set it on fire, then we make a lake out of that shit. Where are you getting all this motherfucking water from? To make a lake out of a city? That's different. But you would have to have the science if you've already done it before, because you've done it with an ocean. Again, I could be reaching. I'm just speaking, looking at it from a different perspective. But then at the same time, when we know this and they know that these people are like this, I would create this reality too and say, hold up, we got to create something that makes sure that they can't win. So now, tying it all back in and trying to bring this back down. So now when we had a competition, I know these people are greater than me. They have dominant genetics. I know that there's no way, like when we look physically, we're far superiors physically. And it's not like in a disrespectful way. If you put fucking, I'm trying to make it equal. So it's like, fuck it. After Jesse Owens beat the record, white people have never ran in the Olympics again. And if they did run, they always come dead last. They get smoked. Smoked. That's the physical representation. That's the phenotype. That's the phenotype. When we look at genetics, if your phenotype is dominant, your genotype is dominant. If we're able to do that physically, we're also able to do that mentally and spiritually. And again, the final desperation was in this piece when Margaret Sanger came on to play. Now, mind you, I broke down religion, all of that shit. Now, here in 2023, these are the things that we still succumb to as black people. And they still can't win. Margaret Sanger, that whole eugenics and all of that shit, this is their final moment, y'all. They only have 100 years left. Imagine spending 2,000 plus years creating systems in order to make sure when this moment comes that you wouldn't go extinct, and you're about to go extinct faster than you were supposed to. They gave us the religion, they gave us the education system, they gave us the nutrition, they gave us every form of thing to make the playing field equal for them to at least compete. And they still lost. People think white people hate us. White people are trying to survive. The first rule of nature is self-preservation. Don't get me wrong. This ain't giving them a pass for the shit that they done to my people or no shit like that. But I understand. And when I understand now, I know what I'm supposed to be giving back to my people to say, hey, y'all, this is the system. This is it. Everybody talks, and it's deeper than that. But it's a podcast. We got to flow. Everybody talks about, oh, the system is this. The white man, I get it. I used to look down on my dad when I used to hear him say that shit. I used to really condescendingly look at him and say, what you mean the white man won't let you? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you, especially when I consider the type of black man that my father was. You feel me? Not like he was a morally good black man. He was a volatile black man. My father had the warrior spirit. I got the warrior spirit. Mine was contained. Religion helped tame mine. I grew up in the church. And I was always violent. I was violent as fuck. I'm still violent. I just know how to be violent. When y'all hear me say shit like violence is the response to danger, these are things that I had to learn. You feel me? But I've always been violent. But I've been afraid of my violence. But I had to realize it was the warrior spirit. I get it. When you said the white man ain't gonna let me in a space. I gotta code switch. I gotta play a certain way. I gotta be. You feel what I'm saying? I can't be a threat to them. And we don't realize how big of a threat we really are, because we are not threatening to them. I'm not out here trying to fuck with you. I'm not trying to. No, bro. You threaten my existence. I genetically cannot fuck with you. On no way, shape, or form do I fuck with you because of your genetics, who you are genetically. I don't hate you. I'm trying to survive. And it translates as, I got to kill you. Because now we have to tie into, xenophobics. Like white people, I ain't gonna say white people, the Caucasoid genetics. Caucasoid genetics are largely xenophobic. By proxy, Africoid genetics are largely xenophilic. This is why we invite motherfuckers to it blows my mind we still inviting Caucasians to the cookout after Caucasians are the reason why we need cookouts away from them. I literally just saw this tweet for Juneteenth, somebody tweeted, would it be wrong if I brung a white person, if I got a white boyfriend or something and I brought him to the Juneteenth cookout? And somebody responded, you're going to bring the reason there had to be a Juneteenth to the cookout? Didn't register for the motherfucker. Like the sole fact that you had to ask that question, the elevator didn't even go all the way up to realize why that was even a problem in the first fucking place. You see what I'm saying? But that shows also that the system works. This system of racism works so motherfucking well that it acts on itself. The oppressed will oppress themselves because of the system. Because we think that in order for us to be successful, we have to align with the oppressor. No, you just have to unplug from the system. You just have to know what the system is. When you know why you're being oppressed, you know how to walk away get out of the oppression. When you just know that you're being oppressed, it's problematic because you don't know which way to go. I know that I'm being oppressed for my genetics. I know that and then that helps me create a different level, because when I know why my enemy hates me, it makes it easier for me to love myself. When you study genetics, when you study history, when you study science, and you get to the core of it, and you see how it is, right? You start to love yourself because you know why they hate you, and you're like, nigga, that's everything you hate about me is everything you hate about me is really everything you envy, because you're not. I have no problems with that. I have no problems with that at all. But now I know how to address you, because I know that this is not just you hating my skin tone or anything like that. Our situation is systemized because my genetics are dominant and yours are recessive. I didn't need to create any systems of oppression for you. I just need to fuck your women. Sit with that. And don't forget to check out Polycafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Polycafe Clothing. All right, I'm gonna go and end it there. All right, so that's racism. That's racism and that's the system of oppression. There's so much more to that, but I gotta I could probably do another part. I don't know, but actually, this is actually my third time recording this because the first two times it didn't come out, so that's why there's a lot. I was trying to remember a lot of shit that I said, but that's how the racism plays itself out. We look at why do white people don't hate us? Why does everybody in the world hate us? Why? No, we're a part of a system in which dominant genetics can't win. Because now when you think about it, if we were the politicians, if we were the global forces, if we were these people collectively, what would the world be? It'll be sane, don't get me wrong, because we'll be collaborative. But as of right now, it's not, because now they ask, why are black people like this? Because the products of the racism and the oppression that they put on us, the system that was created, it fucked with us. And this is the mentality of what's happened. When I tell people we're mentally retarded as black people, considering our ancestors, they be looking at me like I'm crazy. No, you're mentally retarded because you were mentally retarded. You see what I'm saying? You were intentionally retarded. Like they created the system to mentally retard you. Started off with your religion because they understood your genetics, tainted the history, educated you the way they need. You're mentally retarded. You cannot ascend any higher. That's why I talk about the lexicons and shit like that. And I talk about the word God and all of that shit. That's how religion works. You cannot think any higher than your God. That's crazy. And if your God wanted you to be oppressed, I ain't knocking the hustle. I ain't knocking the hustle at all. I'm not mad at him. I'm like, nigga, that's what y'all chose to do. Too fucking shay. Too fucking shay. I'm not mad at it. You solidified yourself to make sure the world will never go back to black. But now, if it never goes back to black, it dies. And they're seeing that now. They're like, damn, how can we continue? You can't. They have less than 100 years now. They had 125 a couple years. They honestly, like, they're speeding up their own demise. They're speeding up their own demise by continuing the system to oppress us. They don't realize that the two go hand in hand. Their numbers are dwindling. Like when they talk about population control, when they tell you that something is overpopulated, there's too many people that aren't Caucasian. There's too many people that aren't Caucasoid. It's overpopulated because there's too many people that aren't Caucasoid. That's it. That's it. That's what you know what was about. They shut. Niggas is dropping like flies, homie. And nobody's talking about it. Everybody keep talking about, yo, Riston. I see motherfuckers that's in their 20s. It's so many people in their 20s and 30s just dropping. I'm like, y'all really think? Oh, no, they had heart condition. Like, I got little cousins right now. I got a little cousin who got a heart condition. Just got the heart condition. He got jabbed. I'm like, y'all know that's where that's from, right? That's not that. All right, nigga, because all y'all got the shit. That's why y'all trying to say it's not. Nigga, yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm like, I don't know why the news. I know why the news isn't reporting it to y'all. But us that are actually doing the due diligence, we're seeing people getting dementia. We're seeing, and it's young people too, in their 20s and 30s, people getting dementia and heart diseases, heart attacks at 20 and 30 years old. Do you think this is normal? Oh no, this is just all right, nigga. But again, they control the healthcare systems. They control everything. And everything that is systemized is to control and to make sure that the recessive genetics is the only genetics catered to. This is why in the hospital system, hospitals and shit, they be thinking black people don't experience pain. This is why our women die in hospitals. The system has you labeled in a way that you aren't. Because, oh, they got dominant genetics. That's why they don't feel the pain that we feel. Or in the dominant genetics that they have, the things that we succumb to, they won't. This is why our women during the enslavement periods were put on gynecology. Modern gynecology was established by what they did to black women with no anesthesia. Racism. A system of oppression. The healthcare system is still like that to this day. Ain't shit changed. Religion is still serving the same effect today. Ain't shit changed. The 400 years starts over with every new child that comes into the space. Why? Because you have the indoctrination. Yo, we enslaved for 400 years. For real? When did it start? I don't know. 400 years been up. Dead ass 400 years been up. Like the shit should have been done, but yet we still in it. Why? Because it's not an actual prophecy. It's an indoctrination. It's a system. You ever wonder why we always in the last days of the last days? Like, you wonder why it's like, well, why is there always war? And why is this? Because we're in the last days of the last days. What does the book tell you? In the last days of the last days, you'll see nothing but war. You know how easy it is to control niggas when you control the conceptualization of God? And now I'm telling you that you're at the end of the book. I ain't even gonna tell you your book ain't real. I ain't even gonna tell you the actual book comes from the book of the sun. Helios, Biblios. I'm not even gonna tell you that. I ain't gonna tell you that it was allegory. I ain't gonna tell you none of that shit was real. I'm gonna tell you at the end of the book. And I'm gonna keep creating scenarios that make you think it's the end of the book. Or I'm gonna create scenarios that are very indicative of when the deity return. We're in the last days of the last day because this LGBT shit, this is big. It's big. So God's gonna come back because LGBT blew up. He ain't gonna come back because we got enslaved for the 400 years. He ain't come check on us. Cause we were supposed to go through that. Okay. Motherfuckers look like I'm wrong when they be like, yo, how'd you sleep? Like God during slavery? Jesus during slavery? Now, granted, I don't say that to my Christian friends because I've learned to have a different level of respect. I still talk shit. Now, if we in the flow of conversation, you shouldn't have jumped into this conversation, but I don't intentionally go out and tell them, give that. Like, no. Understand why this shit was given to you. Understand why racism is a thing and why this shit was even placed upon you in the first fucking place. You feel me? And it started from there. Once they controlled the highest conceptualization of the mind, that was it. Because then they control the highest conceptualization of the mind and then make sure that people never gained anything outside of that. If black people don't know nothing else. They know that God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. They don't even know what's in the Bible. And if they decided to go to college or whatever the case may be, now they have their major and their Bible. That's all they know. Think about the people that never went to college, just went to the military, whatever. All they know is the Bible. All they know is their religion. And they only know the religion that justifies the bullshit that they own. Yeah, the system of oppression is real. They gave you the religion. They erased your history and gave you the history they wanted you to have. Fuck with your nutrition and your healthcare, your health sciences and all that. They never let you have anything. And all they gave you was the religion to make this. I don't need you thinking. I need you believing. I need you stuck on your root chakra. I need to make sure you do not ascend past the first 3 spheres of the tree of life. Ever. Why? Because that's when your magic kicks in. That's when your genetics kick in. And it's scary, bro. It's scary, but it's beautiful at the same time. I can't even hold you. To know that in the civil rights movement, we fought for equality. We just want to be equal. We want to be seen as human beings. And they literally had a system in place. Like, y'all got to understand, the system that they put in place towards black people made them equal to Caucasians. Sit with that. The handicaps that they had to put on us is what made us equal to them. And we fought for civil rights, nigga. We fought for civil rights, nigga. We pleading to the world that, no, nigga, this is a systemized faction across the world, homie. They know what they're doing because it's a system to keep things going. It's like, this is why black people keep having, like, it amazes me how our buying power goes up every year. It's wild. The nation is in debt by X, Y, and Z. And, all they have, if the United States wanted to get out of debt, all they have to do is stop oppressing black people. That's it. Think about the deficit. Think about how much we're in debt, and think about how much about. Hey, yo, no funny shit. Yo, the amount of debt that the U.S. is almost comparable and almost equal to the amount of buying power that black people have in America. I think it's like 1.7 trillion or some shit like that. I think black people's buying power is like 1.8, some shit like that. And think about this: the country is in debt, and black people have almost an equal buying power as the debt of the country. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Where is the value of this country at? But I can't let the value of this country know that it's valuable. So I'm going to put systems in place to make it think that it's not. So now, when they create, like, think about this, like, we go to the Grammys and shit, hoping that they honor our music and shit. But every genre of music that was created in America was created by black people. The only ones that we still have are hip hop and R&B, but every other genre we create, they just colonize the shit. We let them. You know why? Because the way racism works, it makes black people not feel that what they contribute to the world is important. Why would that happen? Because history is gone and it told you that you never contributed anything good to the world. So when you do create something good, you don't patent it. You don't put your IP on it. You don't claim it as yours. You just say, I just did it. And then 5 to 10 years later, they create it and call it pop culture. We be like, nigga, we been on that. I think it was like last year or 2 years ago. This white dude, he branded a peanut or pistachio brand called D's Nuts. We've been saying D's Nuts since the 90s, but we didn't want it because we just create shit so effortlessly we don't see the value in it. You feel what I'm saying? But they got to catch up for it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Like, and this ties in, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here with the word woke. When we first started using woke, I know it was 2015, 2016, stay woke. But even on Erykah Badu's the New America album, she had a song called Master Teacher. I'd stay woke. Woke went from us as black people studying our history, learning about African spirituality, holistic health, so much shit. That's what woke was. Now woke is homosexual liberals. Cause y'all niggas be inviting niggas to cookouts. When we invite these motherfuckers to the cookout, we're giving them more ammunition to add to the oppression. They come into the cookout, see what the fuck we're doing, and they say, okay, this is how they liberating themselves. Boop, cut it off. Civil rights movement was the greatest Trojan horse ever. It was better than the actual Trojan horse because we fought for civil rights. So now what we do is now everybody's rights is attached to our shit. But everybody has their individual rights. You dig what I'm saying? So when the civil rights movement, when we're trying to fight, oh no, it's about equality. Let's give it to everybody. But then you have specific rights that they don't want to, like, you didn't fight to be human. You fought to be civil. So we're going to create a system of oppression that makes you uncivilized. So now we can penalize you when you are. It's crazy. We put crack in your communities, made you smoke it, then arrested the fiends, and made the fiends raise the babies. Or we made you sell it and gave you a 3-strike rule. You got caught 3 times, you're in life in jail forever. Systemized, y'all. And we still winning. Just imagine this, bro. There's a system of oppression for the last 2,000, 3,000 years that is designed to keep black people at their root chakra, and we are whooping the world's ass still. Imagine if we were free. It wouldn't even be close. Wouldn't even be close. And again, this is not a point of saying we're superior, they're inferior. This is an acknowledgement that, as they have, that we have dominant genetics and they have recessive genetics. And that's what the beef is. And they're doing everything in their power because it's a competitive world. They're doing everything in their power. It's a competitive world that they've created, and we're collaborative people. This is why we like, yo, why y'all fucking with us? We don't even fuck with y'all. We just want to, because it's competitive. Your existence beats me every day I wake up. This is why they need status, because they don't have essence. Simple. If you ever study science and shit, like you look at Tesla, Faraday, Planck, these people that have names that have just, they quote unquote discover shit, why they ain't got no kids and why they ain't got no parents with the same last name? Because that's not how their system works. Their system works like this: when they find something, they name it after themselves. No, they name themselves after it to appear as if they named the thing. That's colonialism. That's colonization. That's what colonialism does. It started off in the wartime when the Publius Scipio, his first name was Cornelius or some shit. When he beat Hannibal Barca finally, he took on Africanus. Amerigo Vespucci, when he landed in the Americas, he took on the name Amerigo. It wasn't his name being America. You know what I'm saying? It's little things like that. And they did it all the time in science. Newton's law. Like, no, nigga. How do you have a law? That's Newton's law. Nah, he was the nigga that decided to put his name on the information that he colonized. Oh, apple fell on Newton's head and no, that's not what happened. The information was already there. You feel what I'm saying? Newton, that last name is a little bit different because it's different. But generally, most of the scientific names like Hertz, Faraday, Planck, it's a lot. Those are some of the ones that I know. But why they ain't got no kids? You don't know no Plancks running around this motherfucker. You don't know no fucking Faradays. Only Hertz you know is Hertz rental. You feel what I'm saying? Like, why these people ain't got no kids and why they ain't got no parents with the same last name? Kind of makes you wonder, right? Because it's a part of the system of oppression. I don't want black people to think they contributed anything to this world. So when it's time to contribute something, they don't even think to. Which means we control everything that they do. So we'll make it so much that they devalue what they actually have. And we can take it for a lesser value and bring life to it. The projects, then the living expense. Like, this is how that shit works. This is how gentrification works. Gentrification works because it's a piece of racism. We're going to let the black people devalue their own shit because they want to be us, because our system makes them want to be us and not want to be where they are. You feel what I'm saying? It's little shit like that. This is a system of oppression, y'all. It's a system. And the education system helps. If you don't graduate, like I said, if you don't graduate from the education system, you don't go up in higher academia, you stop liking black people. Fuck switch. You got to get out of that shit if you want to stay intact with black people. The longer you're in it, the more you're going to hate black people. You don't even know. You start hating yourself. You start doubting your own gifts. And you don't even realize it. But you start aligning more with the oppressor. Because you start to realize, I overcame, quote unquote, these systems and these things and now I'm able to sit with it. Not realizing that, my nigga's going to go through this shit again next year, the year after. It doesn't stop with me because I'm the token. This is a system designed for me not to even be here. But we, let a few of them through. Make it hard for a few of them to get through. So when they get here, they value it. They're not going to want to stop this system because I work too hard to maneuver through it. It's crazy. It's a psyop, though. We got to wake up. This is why I tell y'all got to get a white man back as a religion. Now I can tell you why I tell you that. But understand why he gave it to you. This is a part of my system of oppression. I can't oppress you without religion. I can't. This is why they demonize people who don't believe shit. This is why it's like, yo, you can't. Think about this shit. You can't get a motherfucker who don't believe in turning the other cheek to turn his other cheek. But I can literally make a culture of people refuse to defend themselves. I can make a culture of people. I can make a people refuse to defend. Genetics of people refuse to defend themselves. solely by controlling the highest conceptualization of their mind. And then now I create a moral compass of, oh, I'm holier than thou. Oh, be peaceful, be pat. No. I don't want you to know that I believe in God. I want you to know that I am God. Fuck with me. You ever like, this is why they told you, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. Okay, I'm creating the image and likeness of God, nigga. It's time to be vengeful. Don't play with me. I will fuck this shit up. But we're afraid to. We're afraid to. The system of oppression works well. System is a cycle of cycles. These cycles that beat us so fucking bad that this is where we are. And yet we still winning. It's like, imagine you in a fight and you in a physical fist fight. This motherfucker is just fighting you. You got on weighted armor, you chained, and you still beating their ass. Or quote unquote, it's still a fair fight. Imagine that. All these handicaps, I can only fight you with one hand. And with that one hand, I got weights on the motherfucker. I can't hit you in the face and none of that shit. And it's still an even fight. I get why oppression is what it is. I don't want you to understand your power. If you understand your power, I can't defeat you no more. That's what it was for me. I had to realize that, like, nigga, y'all, it's a fair fight still. And because from my perspective, well, I beat their ass. You feel me? I'm like, how the fuck y'all got and y'all let me whoop y'all ass? Like, you feel me? Y'all let me come in this bitch and beat y'all the fuck up? And y'all was supposed to win. That's why I'm going to say this and I'm going to wrap it up for real. This is why I don't give white homeless people money. I know niggas like, nigga, that's fucked up, Ray. That's wrong. They're homeless. I don't give a fuck. I don't got no compassion for white homeless people. The game was designed for you to rig and you lost. The game was designed for you to win every time you turn, especially the homeless white man. You literally catered the game across the world for you to win and you still lost. Nigga, you don't know. You feel me? That's how honorable mentions. Niggas want honorable. This is why people need honorable mentions. They can't win. Because their genetics are recessive. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our kids, this is what you're sending your kids into. Get a good grade. Like, yo, you're sending them into the system into the system of oppression to make sure they remain oppressed. You don't see it because at the end of the day, you got to work because you already, whatever. But K through 12. And then, church or whatever. But K through 12, that's where it starts. And by 18, nigga, you don't even believe in yourself. You don't even believe black people could do anything of power, of good. And if they do, you're the anomaly. You're the only one. Because we're going to make you believe it can only be one at a time. And then if there are multiple, we're going to make you compete with each other as opposed to collaborate. They did it with Biggie and Pac, Jay-Z and Nas. Jay-Z and Nas kind of did it themselves, but Biggie and Pac, all of that shit. They can only be one at a top. We don't think like them. We never thought like them. We can't think like them, but if we were collaborative, it would be Jay-Z and Nas, Biggie and Pac. It wouldn't be versus East and West. Like, they created that whole divide. Like, you feel me? They ain't never do, like, I'm sure Kenny Rogers and the Chesney, nigga, they don't like each other. I'm sure Kenny Rogers and Tim McGraw may have had it out. We don't know about them niggas beefing. You feel what I'm saying? But we need to understand that we're sending our kids into the military camps, the indoctrination. They were sending them into gas chambers. It's different. They die by third grade. By third grade, they build prisons according to the test scores to know who's going to prison and who's not. This is systemized, bro. This is oppression. This shit works. You can pray all you want to. Who you praying to? The deity they gave you. Because again, you can't think outside of the lexicon of the God that you follow. So again, I don't want you to follow Oshun. I don't want you to know about Ogun. I don't want you to know about Shango. I don't want you to know about Loas. I don't want you to know about Papa Legba. I don't want you to know about none of that shit. Because if you learn about that shit, then I can't control you no more. I can't oppress you no more. Now, when you go back to why they fear Haiti, and before Haiti got their revolution, they said, give them back their God. You are free. That means once they gave back the religion, which is the first way in which the oppression is controlled, they gave back the religion, the history changes, the mystery, all of that shit. I don't have to listen to it anymore. And what happened? They shrunk Napoleon's army from 30,000 to 3,000. Don't nobody want to tell the story of what really happened. And you know why. As devout as we are, religion, that's our kryptonite. Wow. Religion is black people's kryptonite. And if we continue to allow our kids to follow this and be indoctrinated into the very systems that we see are oppressing us, you don't find it odd that a white dude can walk into a church and shoot 9 black people and God don't do shit? Because the God of your enemy is your devil. The God of your enemies is your devil. And your enemy created the oppressive reality for you, which is their heaven, which means this is your hell. It's up to you if you're going to continue to send your babies into that. But as for me and mine, we know what's up. But I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.